Hey, it's great to be here once again. Thank you, Danielle. Um, okay, so where do we start? I'm not sure if what everybody wants to hear. Is it worth maybe just spending 2 minutes going through the halachas of Hanukkah, so that just the basic laws of lighting the menorah and everything before I get into. I'm going to do a short Dvar Torah now before you go into the rooms, and then I'll do an unrelated one afterwards. The second Dvar Torah after you go to the rooms will be related to the material you're going to study in the rooms. But first, let me spend just like a minute, a quick overview of the halachas of actually lighting the menorah. You're going to cover some of the halachas in the material you'll study together in your rooms, but I'll just try and focus on some of the most basic ideas. Uh, First of all, there are different levels of doing the mitzvah. The minimum requirement is that every home should have one candle lit for 8 days. So that would mean you need 8 candles per home for 8 days. The better version of doing the mitzvah is to light every day an extra candle. So one the first day, two the second day, three until the eighth day where you light eight. The best way to do it is that every individual in the house should do an extra candle every day. Of all the mitzvos in the Torah, this seems to be the one that the Jewish people have become accustomed to doing it in the best way. People don't compromise on this. I don't know anyone who only lights one candle. And most houses, all the children light, everybody lights. So we do it what's called mehadrin min mahadrin, the ideal of the ideal, and it's something to think about. Why this mitzvah of all the mitzvahs is it so important? It's become universal amongst the Jewish people to do it in this ideal way. But that's not the scope of this, but something to think about. What's special? Why is the mitzvah of Hanukkah the one that we're so elaborate in? We light them from left to right, meaning you light every day the new candle, which is furthest to the left. Meaning you start the first day with the candle on the right side of your menorah, then you add one second day to the left until the end. But when you light them, you light the newest candle first, and then you work your way to the right to the oldest candles. It's important to have a shamash. The reason we have a shamash, which is what you use to light the menorah, it's not just for lighting the menorah. It's because you're not supposed to derive benefit, any usage from the Hanukkah menorah. So you shouldn't read. The Talmud says don't count money. Don't do any of the things that people would normally use light a menorah for. We don't use it. The Shabbos candles are meant to be used. They're there to bring peace into the house, to light up the house. The menorah is asur lishtamish bahem, very different. It's also something fascinating to think about, the difference between Shabbos candles and Hanukkah candles. It's important to light Friday night when you light both candles, which is a very deep thing. You're lighting simultaneously the two opposite types of candles, the Shabbos candles but we light the menorah first and then the Shabbos candles. As far as Havdalah, there are different customs. Some people make Havdalah first to end the Shabbos and then light the Hanukkah menorah, which would seem to be most intuitive. But if you say Baruch Hamavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, then you can light the Hanukkah candles and then do Havdalah. Many people do that. It's best to use oil and cotton wicks, as was done in the temple. But the most important thing is to have a beautiful, clear flame, and therefore candles are fine. Just the problem with candles is that if you use the colorful candles that everyone traditionally uses, a lot of times our menorahs are small and close together, and the heat causes them to burn too quickly. And the menorah has to last for half an hour. The truth is, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't have to last for half an hour. It has to be able to last for half an hour, meaning what you light needs to be sufficient for a half an hour of lighting. If you have a small menorah and you're using those little candles, so then it won't last a half an hour. The heat of all the candles compounds and they melt too quickly. So if you want to use those candles, you can use them, but spread it out, or use Shabbos candles, or best use oil When we were kids and in yeshiva, it's a big thing. You spend time beforehand. We used to make our own wicks. You get good at making wicks and you feel like it's your mitzvah. You've done it yourself. Okay. I don't know. If anybody has questions afterwards, other halachas, we'll cover them. But let me first give you a short 5 minutes of our Torah. Something interesting. The Medrash in a few places, different sources, tells us that one of the things the Greeks did in their persecution of the Jews was it made the Jews write on the horn of oxen. They would make them take an ox and write on the horn, She'ein lecha chelek be'elokei Yisrael, that you no longer have any relationship to the God of Israel. Kisvu lachem al keren ashar, write for yourselves on the horn of the ox, She'ein lecha chelek be'elokei Yisrael, that you have no portion, you have no relationship anymore with the God of Israel. What's the symbolism of that? It's a. What are they trying to accomplish? So I think the symbolism is as follows. What is an ox? In Jewish thought, they speak a lot about the difference between a par and a shar, a bull and an ox. A bull and an ox are really, in biologically the same animal. But when you picture a bull, you picture this animal snorting smoke out of its nose and chasing a guy in a red cape. Or you picture a bull in a china shop. A bull we visualize as a wild animal. An ox is, when you picture it, it has a yoke on it and it's plowing a field. And that's really what they are. An ox is a domesticated, a tamed bull. If you Google it, it'll say that an ox is a castrated bull. But in halacha, we're not allowed to do that. So it's not, by us, an ox is not castrated, it's tamed. It's become domesticated. The bull is the original animal, wild and destructive, and the ox is tamed and sedate and domesticated. So if you think of the ox as that, then it's very powerful. Because if the bull is that tough, wild animal, so proud of its prowess, chasing the guy in the red cape, so the symbol of the ox is its horns. The ox is the strength of the bull. The horns are the pride of the bull. But once the animal has been domesticated and it's not a wild animal anymore, the ox has been tamed. Its horns are now obsolete and worthless. The horns of an ox are a very sad thing to think about. They represent obsolescence. They represent glory days of when I was young and powerful, and now I am in the field with a yoke. So the Greeks said that write on the horn of an ox that you have no portion, no relationship to God, meaning the same way the ox is yesterday's news, so too is Judaism has been surpassed by Greek thought. And what Judaism is to Greek thought is what the ox is to the bull. The bull is the greatness, the ox is broken, the Jews are broken or old school, and the Greeks are the new thing. That's what they were trying to accomplish. The Jewish response to this is very, very deep. If you look at the laws of Bikurim, the first fruit, when you go into Israel finally after the desert and receiving the Torah commands the Jews the first year, the first crop, and every subsequent year. The culmination of history is where the Jews enter the land, they plow their fields. The first fruits of your field are the climax of history. And you take them in wagons. The Jews would gather together in all their cities and bring the fruit to Jerusalem, to bring them to the temple, the first fruit. And it says they would fill wagons, and the oxen, they make parades of all the farmers with all the wagons and all the oxen pulling the wagons, and they would put gold on the horns of the oxen. And that's exactly the opposite of what the Greeks did. Why? Why did they put gold on the horns of the oxen? This literally is probably the best way to articulate the difference in thought between Jewish thought and Greek thought. In Greek thought, greatness is the bull, powerful, virile, a force to be reckoned with. Judaism says, what a waste. It's so destructive. All it does is destroy china shops, break glass, chase matadors. You know what greatness is? The ox isn't broken. The ox is focused. The ox is harnessed. You take all the power of the bull and you make it something productive. Look at the fruits of the Bikurim. This beautiful fruit that feed the entire world only come because the ox has harnessed its strength to a productive act and plowed the fields and delivered all the beauty and all this bounty. That's what Bikurim says. The ox isn't a broken bull. The bull is a wasted ox. The ox is perfection. We put gold on the horns of the ox. The Greeks need to learn this, that it's not strength or prowess. It's what you do with it. The greatness is to accept the yoke, the ol in Hebrew, the yoke, and to find your field and plow your field and then harvest your crops. And that's what Chanukah is. It is the defeat of Jewish thought over Greek thought and the Jews over the Greeks. But what it really is, it's the celebrating of the victory of focus and creativity and accomplishment over unbridled, wild strength without any purpose or focus. And that's the gold on the horns of the ox. The horns of the ox are the pride. That's the first thought. You can go to your rooms now, and then we'll come back for a different Torah, unless anybody has a quick question. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much, Rabbi Feldheim. So we will break out for the individual room learning, and we will call you back in about 20, 25 minutes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yeah. There's a hotel. There's a kosher hotel there. That's where I am.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Rabbi Feldheim.
Okay, we're on.
We're good to go.
All right, amazing. Okay, so I hope it was good in the rooms. You covered the material, everything you ever needed to know about miracles. Yeah, so, all right, so I wanted to deal with the following question. Well, really, I wanted to explain why it is. You see, the Torah gives us the essential holidays. Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuos. The rabbis, the Chazal, added in two holidays, Purim and Hanukkah. And the question is what was missing in Judaism that they had to add Pesach and Hanukkah? Why was that necessary to add them? So in order to explain that, I wanted to explain just what is the relationship between miracles and what would you say the opposite of miracles are? Nature. Doing things. I guess there's what in Jewish thought we call it din. Din is justice. Justice means you get what you deserve. Whatever you create with your own hands. You eat the fruits of your labor. So if you were to think about it, which one do you think is preferable? Is it preferable to experience the gifts of our lives by earning them or by having them given to us through a miracle? So according to everything that all of Jewish thought, it would seem that, of course, the purpose of life is to earn things. We have a good inclination and a bad inclination. We're supposed to struggle, and you're supposed to eat the fruits of your labor. You're supposed to accomplish things and then sit back and enjoy what you've made. If you get handouts or freebies, that's called God's mercy. Mercy is that God bails us out even when we didn't earn it. And it's very nice that God is merciful, but you would think that it's preferable to achieve things through justice as opposed to mercy, or in Hebrew, din as opposed to rachamim. And it seems to be that that's the truth. So the way I normally think of miracles is that miracles are like a safety net. It's like if you have someone in the circus whose job is to walk the tightrope. So under the tightrope, you have a safety net. Now, the goal isn't for him to fall off the tightrope into the safety net. The goal, of course, is that he should do flips and do his whole thing and put on the show. This is why everybody goes to the circus, to see this guy. He's the hero. If he falls off, there's a safety net that can catch him, and that's good. So that would be a nice way to understand the relationship between din and rachamim, justice and mercy. That ideally we're supposed to do things with justice, which means we're supposed to dance on the tightrope of life, become very good at it, and succeed at life. Work hard, have relationships, have children, whatever, teach and learn Torah and build homes and businesses and help people and give charity, all the things that you do by leveraging your abilities and your resources. And then life is about eating the fruits of your labor. If you fail at that and things happen and it doesn't work out, you can beg Hashem and say, Hashem, give me mercy, carry me, you do it for me, a safety net. That's the normal way of thinking about it. The problem with that is it seems like miracles have a much larger role in Judaism than just a safety net. We talk about miracles all the time. The entire story of Hanukkah, the mitzvah is to publicize the miracle. Like that's what you just learned about. Why is it so important to put the safety net center stage? That's the big question about miracles. If miracles are a backup plan, so then why are they so central? We should talk about miracles at the end of the year. When all else failed, that's when you talk about safety nets. But first, go out and try and do it yourself. But yet, like on Pesach, which is the first month of the Jewish year, Nisan, in fact, the name of the first month of the Jewish year is miracles. And the formation of the Jewish people was all splitting seas and plagues, and we didn't even start yet, and God started with miracles. Why does the mercy precede the justice? Isn't that backwards? That's the big elephant in the room when you deal with miracles, is that they don't seem to fit our expectations of the place they should have. They seem to be far more important. And the answer is very, very deep. And there's two types of miracles. And that's why we need two holidays of miracles. The miracle of Purim, which was the first rabbinic holiday, and then Hanukkah, which was the last holiday. I know in the that Hanukkah comes before Purim in the calendar, but it's really after Purim, historically. And Hanukkah is the second rabbinic miracle holiday. So what's the difference and what is the purpose of miracles? And the answer is amazing. Is that why do people not succeed in life in justice? Why don't we actually deserve the stuff? Why aren't we good at the tightrope of life? Why is it so difficult? And there are two basic reasons, similar, but there are two reasons that people don't succeed at the tightrope of life. One is that we're too scared. You can break your neck, and therefore we avoid all the tightropes and we avoid all the challenges and the difficult parts of life because it's too daunting. That's one reason we fail. But then there's another reason, which may be even more common, is that people do go and try out life. They do try the tightrope, but because they're scared, they're either shaking or they're shivering or they're too tentative and reluctant, and they fall off the tightrope because they're scared. So the two reasons we don't succeed at tightropes are either we don't try out of fear or we sabotage ourselves subconsciously because of the fear by not being all in and not throwing ourselves at the tightrope. So therefore, you know what the secret of succeeding at the tightrope is? Is the secret of the safety net is not to catch you when you fall. You know what the real reason for the safety net is? Is that when you know there's a safety net, then you won't fall. When you know there's a safety net, you'll throw yourself in, you'll live with abandon, you'll dance on the tightrope, and you'll find that you could do this. I am good enough. I am capable. The real goal of the safety net is that you shouldn't need it at all. And that's why miracles have to come first. Miracles need to come first is because you have to know that God is going to catch you when you fall. And then, of course, the goal is to do it yourself. But the way you'll do it yourself is when you're all in. And in order to be all in, you have to know that there are miracles. And therefore, we start with miracles. You start with miracles. We raise our children with the knowledge that Hashem will save them no matter what. Then they will live freely, uninhibited, unscared, untethered, and they're going to embrace all the tightropes that life gives them, and they'll succeed at them. So that's the secret of why miracles need to precede need to come first, but at the same time, they're a backup plan. You have to know there's a backup plan to be all in. But that really just explains Purim. Purim is the safety net. And the rabbi said, you know what? Even that is not good enough. People are still hesitant and reluctant. People can know that there's a safety net, know that they're going to get caught, and if they fall, and they still are not jumping on a tightrope. What's the last reason that people aren't all in? Why would someone who has dreams, I want to accomplish things, I'm not afraid I'm going to break my neck because I know God, and after Purim, I know God catches us. He saves us. The whole Purim story. But still we find ourselves in a fetal position with noise-canceling headphones on our ears, pushing snooze buttons. And the rabbi said, you know what? We need to add one more holiday, and that's Hanukkah. You know what Hanukkah is? There are two types of miracles. One miracle I call a defensive miracle, and that is that God will catch you when you fall, and that's a safety net. But then comes the greatest miracle of all. Not a safety net, but a trampoline. The reason why people don't throw themselves at life, even knowing that they'll get caught when they fall, is they say, yes, I'll succeed. But what's going to happen? So I'll invest. I'll make 8%. I still won't be able to buy the ski chalet I want and the yacht. And I won't be able to buy a house in Bal Harbor. And I won't be able, or even Hallandale, right? I won't be able to, who am I fooling? What's it worth? All the big things I see and people have, I can't afford that. There's no path to me to my dreams. Yes, I won't break my neck. God will catch me. But what am I going to get? So the second miracle is not only will God catch you, Purim, but Hashem will multiply whatever you do exponentially. A little bit of oil can last 8 days. That's not a defensive miracle. That's an offensive miracle. That's a trampoline. That means you'll jump on it and you can do flips. You never thought you could do flips. You can do triple lutzes and axles. I don't know what they're all called. It's been a while since the Olympics. But there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do when you can get enough airtime. And the way you get airtime is a trampoline. And that's what Hanukkah teaches us. A few people can conquer huge armies. A little bit of oil can last 8 days. That the results of our actions have exponential growth. Don't think that you're bound by math. God does two types of miracles. He saves you when you fall, and he launches you when you jump. And then there's nothing holding you back. And that's the miracle of Hanukkah, and that's why we need to light the candles by our windows. The entire world, God created the world because he wanted people dancing on their tightropes. He wanted their life to be that party, to be an arena of joy. But in order for that to happen, people have to throw themselves into the world that he gave them. They need to the first Torah thought I said, they need to plow the fields that they were allotted. They need to conquer their promised land. What allows me to conquer my promised land is the knowledge that it won't fail. Hashem will catch me. And not only that, but even though my field looks like it's less than an acre, I can produce crops that there's no ranch in Texas that can deliver that. That's the lesson of Hanukkah. We light the candles by our windows because the world needs to know this. Hashem created the world that people should live their dreams. And instead, we're all hesitant and reluctant. And therefore, Hashem told us, light these candles. Metaphorically light up the world. But really what light up the world is give people the bravery to face their dreams. And what that is the knowledge that you don't need to do it all. You just need to pounce on the trampoline, and then you'll find that you can do crazy flips. That's the message of Hanukkah. And I give us all a bracha that Hashem should give us the bravery to be inspired by all the holidays. And if the holidays aren't enough to deliver that inspiration, you should know that Purim says Hashem will save you. Now you should be able to rearing to go. And if that's still not enough, Hanukkah should clinch the deal. The knowledge that, yes, you won't break your neck, but not only that, but you'll have houses in Aspen, in Israel, in the Old City. in Miami, on the park in Manhattan, you won't be able to count all the houses if that's what you want. If you want something more important, he'll give you that for sure. So that's my bracha. Hashem should fill our lives with light and share that light. Give everybody else. That's the mitzvah of Hanukkah, isn't lighting the menorah. It's showing the world that you light the menorah. It has to be, by the way, that's one last halacha. Therefore, because the purpose of the menorah is not lighting the menorah, but it's showing the world that you light the menorah, it has to be done in public, and it has to be done at the time when people are on the streets. Ideally, that's rush hour. In the Talmud, it's called it when the people are still until the time to light menorahs until everyone is home from the market, until the markets are closed. So really, that's when it gets dark. People don't hang out in the streets in the dark. So you're supposed to light by sunset or within a half an hour of sunset. There are different opinions, either at sunset or half an hour later. If you light a little bit after sunset and your menorah will last for an hour, you'll fulfill all of the different customs, and that's like a good way. Like the earliest time is by sunset. Even those who hold a half an hour later, if you started on time within the half an hour and it burns for a half an hour after the half an hour. So if you have a candle that lasts for almost an hour and you light a little bit after sunset, you're good. And this way, not you're good, everyone who sees your window will be good. And that's the real goal, is to light up their hearts and help them recover their dreams. That's what Hashem wanted with Hanukkah. All right. Any questions? Make up a question. No, I don't like to end this so fast. This is a great crowd. You shouldn't go home so soon.
Okay, looks like Rose has a question.
Okay, where's Rose? There's so many people. It's a big crowd over here. I only
Rose,
see
you
one
can unmute
screen.
yourself.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I hear. Yes.
Fantastic. I was actually having a big discussion today in one of the Jewish communities, and I feel like it kind of relates to what you're asking. And I feel like maybe part of the reason for publicizing the miracle, and especially because Hanukkah has no Yom Tov, is it because Hanukkah really is about like the miracle of our interactions with non-Jews, and both trying to take time to understand how to have maybe better relationships or how to express ourselves to non-Jews, because I'm not sure that it's not clear if publicizing the miracle is meant for us as Jews, or if it's
the truth. The truth is, many of our holidays are they all have a component of dealing with non-Jews. Egypt was the leaving of Egypt. Purim was dealing with the Persians. Hanukkah is with the Greeks, and even Sukkot. On Sukkot is probably generally seen as the most close to an interaction with non-Jews. In fact, on Sukkot, we opened up the temple to, by the way, I'll share with a very cool thought, connecting what you said. It's a cool thing to hear. Sukkot, on the holiday of Sukkot, we open up the temple to all the 70 nations. And all the non-Jews were able to come to the temple and offer offerings. And we actually, part of our service was, normally on a holiday, you bring a certain amount of sacrifices every day. On Sukkot, there's a special offering called the Parei HaChag, the cows of the holiday, and they brought 70 of them, counting backwards from 14. Meaning the first day they brought 14 cows, then 13, then 12. There's 8 days of Sukkot, the same as 8 days of Hanukkah, and every day they brought bulls until it equaled 70, because they brought a sacrifice for each of the 70 nations. Part of our job, not just that they were able to come in, but we actually brought offerings for each nation. Each day, different nations were represented by those bulls, those cows. And there's an argument on Hanukkah: do we light the candles 1 the first day, 2 the second day, 3, 4, 5 every day more, or do we count down 8, 7? That's an argument between the school of Shammai and the school of Hillel. Shammai says, no, we light backwards. The first day we light 8, and the second day we light 7. And you know what his reason is? Why we do it this way? Because it's similar. It's supposed to be the same thing as the cows of Sukkot, which we counted down each day of the 8 days of Sukkot, from 14, 13, 12, 11, 10 to equal 70. So in Sukkot we count that we bring less every day. So the same thing with Hanukkah, we should bring less every day. So that would sort of be a little bit of a proof to what you're arguing, that Shammai is saying that Hanukkah is meant to be similar to Sukkot, and Sukkot is a holiday where we relate to the non-Jews. So Hanukkah then would also be, and the proof would be is that Hanukkah and Sukkot, that Beis Shammai feels that Hanukkah should be modeled after Sukkot in the descending lighting. And so we actually rule like Hillel. Hillel says, yes, it's true that on Sukkot we count backwards, but normally we don't count backwards. Normally, malin b'kodesh, all holy things, we grow in holiness, and every day you should add light. So therefore, we should be lighting extra light every single day, not backwards. And in Kabbalah, they talk about that might be the difference between Hanukkah and Sukkot. According to Shammai, they're the same. According to Hillel, one of them is descending and one of them is ascending. And the reasons for that would be is when the Jews traveled in the desert, there were 2 columns that guided them when they traveled. There was the column of light, the Amud Eish and Amud Anon, the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. So according to the Kabbalah, Sukkot and Hanukkah are very related. They're both 8-day holidays. Sukkot is modeled after the column of cloud, which is why we sit in Sukkot, to remember the clouds of glory. And Hanukkah is to memorialize the pillar of fire, and that's the candles. So the 2 columns that led the Jews in the desert, the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud, are Hanukkah and Purim. Hanukkah and Sukkot, both 8 days. Sukkot is clouds, and Hanukkah is light, and that's Hillel's position, that it's 2 different opposite things, the fire and clouds. And Shammai says no, they're both about the clouds, and therefore they both count backwards. And they're, like you're saying, maybe they're both about the nations of the world, but they definitely certainly do have. I'll tell you this. I had this question to my Rabbi Schwab, years ago. I felt like there were different sources in the Torah. Sometimes the Torah says that your purpose is to be a nation of priests, a mamleches kohanim v'goy kadosh, a nation of priests and a holy nation. It talks about the Torah, that Torah is your light. It's your wisdom to show the world. But on the other hand, the Torah says in a number of places things like Am levadad yishkon, a nation alone shall you dwell. So it seems like 2 opposite messages in the Torah. Are we supposed to be separate, to live detached from the world, to live badad, alone? Or are we supposed to be, this is a light unto the world and a nation of priests? 2 opposite approaches. So I asked this to Rabbi Schwab, and Rabbi Schwab told me, it was many years ago, I think I was in high school, and he told me that there are 2 different ways to do sales. When you're starting out, maybe you have to be like a door-to-door salesman and go knocking on everyone's doors in the coldest weather and bring your wares and ask them to buy. But when you have a good product and you've proven yourself and you've been successful, then you buy yourself a storefront at the best intersection in the best neighborhood on the corner of Fifth Avenue, and a big plate glass window, and everyone comes by you. You don't have to go around the world. They come to you. He says, yes, of course we're a nation of priests, but we're not door-to-door salesmen. That's not our job as a nation to go proselytizing and convincing people. Our job is to have a showroom. And God will always make sure that the Jewish people and Israel are in the headlines. We are always on Fifth Avenue. We always have a store where all the traffic is. Wherever the eyes of the world are, that's where the Jewish people are. And that means that we're always going to be a lesson to the world. Our showroom will always be highlighting our product. It's not an active relationship to the world where we're actually trying to communicate to them. It's a much more effective way of marketing is to live a holy, beautiful life and let them see us as a successful nation and to say, wow, we can also have the culture and the nation, the land that this nation has. And that's the way we affect the world. Sort of with the menorah, from safely in our houses, we light our menorah, no one hears, but the light emanates from our houses to the world. We're supposed to see ourselves as a showroom, not as door knockers. And that's the reconciliation of those two opposite ideas. And of course, we should be cognizant of how we're coming across to the world. But you don't have to be smart in the Torah. The Torah is the guide for morality. If we keep the Torah, we will be a lesson. The only time we start to mess up is when we think we're smarter and we have to adapt our ideas to whatever it is that we're insecurely being influenced by everybody out there. And then we give mixed messages to the world. Right now, the world needs to see strong people who are not insecure, who are confident in their beliefs and not easily manipulated or lied to. And that's a big part of the story of Hanukkah. The Greeks had all the glory and all of the acclaim, and the Jews, it was easy for the assimilated Jews, they were called Hellenists, to shame the religious Jews of how non-progressive they were and how old-fashioned and how foolish you look compared to the Greeks. But Matisyahu and his sons were able to stand up and not be shamed and realize the fickleness of all the ideas. Every year, someone else is telling us that our ideas are shameful compared to some other culture. Well, those cultures come and go. Their ideas end up becoming the source of their national shame. And we, with our shameful, primitive ideas, we've endured forever and constantly, consistently been a light unto the world. So this is an important light, the light of the opposite of insecurity, the confidence, Mi la Hashem Elai, the battle cry of Matisyahu, that we're not missing anything, and we're supposed to feel like, the image I like to use is I like to think of myself as the lifeguard in the pool of the world. And what's the job of the lifeguard in the pool? These kids, who knows, it's a public pool. They're not rich people. They don't have their own pools in their backyard. So it's a public pool, and these kids are playing. This is a little bit of joy in their lives. And we're the lifeguards. Our job is to make sure these kids have the summer of their life. Only good memories. When kids start splashing them, they ruin their summer. If I blow my whistle too much, I'll ruin their summer. It's a good visualization to picture yourself as a lifeguard in the pool of the world with a lot of noisy, bratty kids. But they're kids, and they deserve to have, life is going to be hard. They deserve to have a beautiful, beautiful summer. And therefore, don't get angry and don't see them as the enemy. See them as, you're their lease on joy. And see what you could do to make sure they have an amazing summer. I mean, that's a metaphor, but okay.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Feldheim. Can we give out maybe your email if anybody else has any more questions?
Yes, sure. I'm just not so good with typing. I'm much better at talking than typing. I'm very old school, but you could send it away. Be my pleasure.
Okay, great. Remind me.
Rabbi Feldheim at Gmail. Very easy.
Rabbi Feldheim at Gmail. I'm going to put it in the chat box if anybody wants to contact the rabbi after we leave the program. Thank you so much.
The best thing is come to the Inspire convention. We could spend the whole Shabbos together. Got to do a little advertisement. If you've never been to Project Inspire, if you've never been to Project Inspire, it is the greatest weekend ever. Come, we'll have a great time. You could ask, right? We sit up a whole night till what we have.
That's very true. He does, yeah, answering questions.
Right, Saturday night, Sunday, Friday night, we do all night classes. Anybody, if you have insomnia, this is your program.
Very
If
true.
you don't have
Thank you.
insomnia, there is some stuff going on by day 2.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Feldheim. Thank you, Eliza, who did all of our technical support. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And we want to wish you all a very, very happy Hanukkah.
Thank you for having me. You guys are amazing. Okay, have a great